In this video, we're gonna talk about the middle size of the BlackPak Pro. This is gonna be the 13x16 size that was based around the classic footprint of the classic BlackPak. So a unique thing about the BlackPak Pro is the ability to pick and choose what orientation you want the lid to open. The classic BlackPak opened up on the long side, but with the new BlackPak Pro, you can also open up on the short side. So in this video, we'll do a detailed walkthrough of the tools needed and the steps to attach the hinges and latches. And then we're gonna do a speedy little walkthrough on how to attach the hinges and latches to the short side to obtain this orientation. One thing we've learned over a number of years of selling the classic BlackPak is that every kayak is just a little bit different. Every tank well is, whether it was made very, very narrow like an Attack 140, or whether it's super, super wide. The ability to change the direction of the lid, it's gonna help you dictate as an angler how you can set up your BlackPak Pro to maximize your time on the water. For this install, you will need a regular handheld Phillips screwdriver, and then also, just because I like it because it's a little bit more speedy and quick when I install the hinge bolt, I do like a power tool with the Phillips head bit on this well. To start off with, we're gonna wanna pre-assemble the hinge. And the hinge consists of two parts. One's gonna attach to the lid, one's gonna attach to the side. You're also gonna need one of the hinge pin, which is a nice long bolt, and then also your stainless lock nut. So both of those, this is gonna be kind of a male and female connection. You're gonna slide that in. And then it doesn't matter what side you put the nut into, it's gonna work in either side. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna drop the nylon lock nut into one side, and then from the other side, I'm gonna make sure that the holes are aligned, and then I'm gonna drop that bolt through. And in this, it might take a couple turns to get started, so this is where I kind of bring the power drill into play, and I'm just gonna turn that on a fairly low setting. I don't want this thing gonna torque this out of my hand. And then we'll go back at the end just to make sure that we have the right tension we like. But just right now, I just wanna get that hinge to where it's gonna be one singular piece. So I'm gonna repeat that on the other side, and then we'll go to the next step. So now that I've pre-assembled my hinges, I'm at the point that I need to determine which kayak I have, what's the orientation of my tank well, how I want my BlackPak to sit in that boat, and more specifically, which way I want the lid to open. The classic BlackPak had the hinges on the long side, so it was more designed to have your rod holders on the short side. New with the BlackPak Pro is the ability to swap that and have your hinges and latches mounted on the short side, and so you can mount more rod tubes on the long side of that BlackPak Pro. So I needed to decide which way I'm gonna set up and arrange my hinges and latches. So the first one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up the BlackPak Pro in the way that the lid opened on the classic BlackPak. So from that, I'm gonna grab my pre-assembled hinges, and then also I'm gonna grab my blunt tip stainless number 10 self-threading screws, and then I'm gonna need my handheld Phillips head screwdriver. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to attach the top side to the lid. So from there, I'm gonna line up the holes. You'll see a secondary set of holes that is outside of our gridlock pattern on the top of the lid. That's gonna be the back two holes to hold the hinge on. So I'm gonna start that first piece of hardware, and it might take a little bit to get started, but that self-threading screw should make it in there nice and easy. And then I'm gonna tighten till snug. It's nice and snug, and I'm gonna go with that second and third piece of hardware for that hinge component. And now that I've got them all snug, I'm gonna go back and do about a quarter turn on each of those. And then from there, I'm gonna attach the same hardware. I'm gonna attach it to the side of the BlackPak Pro. And then to attach the screws on the side panels, it might be easier to throw the BlackPak up on its side to be able to apply a little bit more direct downward pressure. So I'm gonna repeat that same steps with attaching the hinges onto the side. Go back to that final quarter turn, make sure they're snug. So that is gonna be putting the two latches on the long side of that BlackPak. So now I'm gonna have that lid, it's gonna open on that long side. So some people whether they want the lid opening, bow to stern, or depending on the orientation and the number of rod tubes. I personally always liked my lid opening left to right instead of front to back, but that was with the old BlackPak not really having a stop with the lid. Having that built-in stop into that hinge does make it nice. So, every kayak is a little bit different. Every angler is gonna rig their boat very differently. So this option gives you that ability to whether you want it on that long side, and then later in the video, we'll show you how to put it on the short side. So now that I have my hinges installed on the BlackPak, next up I need the catch part of the latch, and then the number 10 hardware that we used previously to attach the hinge. And so on here you'll see basically I've got my 2 hinges where they're mounted. Basically gonna mount these directly opposite on the other side. So you'll line this up. It's not gonna use the set of hole that's closest to the edge. When you install it, you'll see it's gonna install into the 3 holes that correspond to that gridlock pattern. And then same thing with the number 10, taking that handheld screwdriver, I'm gonna tighten till snug, and I'm gonna go back and do a final quarter turn. And it helps to get the screws started to apply a good bit of downward pressure initially, and then after that, once those threads bite, you're good to go. Now with the catch assembled, I'm gonna need the pivot bracket and then the latch itself. And this makes it easier. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on its side. Then the pivot bracket, it's gonna attach to 3 corresponding holes in the gridlock. And then with these, you're gonna use our number 8 blunt tipped thread forming screw. And when installing the actual latch, you wanna make sure that it has a little bit of an upward curve when you lay it flat onto that BlackPak panel. That's gonna make it to where it makes it nice and easy to grab. And then you'll see when you grab it and take that pivot bracket, it's gonna cover it nicely and secure it. And from there, you got a nice working latch. So I'm gonna repeat on the other side, and then we'll complete this BlackPak Pro with the lid orientation opening in that classic direction on the 2 long sides. So how we designed the catch latch for the BlackPak Pro is we wanted something that was gonna be nice and secure, so if you did flip your boat, having those 2 latches was gonna make it to where it was nice and secure. We also wanted something that was pretty easy to operate, and then the latch itself is pretty unique. So to operate it, you're gonna wanna push down on that catch. That's gonna make it to where the latch itself is able to swing freely, and you're able to rotate that down to where it's gonna wanna stay at either a 90-degree angle perpendicular from the BlackPak panel, or you can also fold it all the way down. Some people aren't gonna wanna use the latches while they're on the water, and that's cool. If you're someone, maybe you start running some class 2, 3 whitewater, if you're running some rivers, and maybe you want to close it to have that peace of mind that if you do flip your boat, all your gear's not going to be lost. But if you're fishing a nice easy lake, there's no chance that you're not going to flip over that day. Cool, flip the latches down, and they'll be out of the way on the side of the BlackPak. And then once complete, you're going to see that this lid's going to open up on that long side. So that's going to be more of that classic BlackPak orientation. But depends on the boat, depends on your style. For how I'm gonna use this is I'm gonna have it on the long side, and that's gonna give me room for 3 rod tubes on the short side of that BlackPak Pro. So that's how I'm gonna set it up if I'm going to put those hinges on that long side. So next up, we will do one real quick. We won't go through all the exact details, but we'll go real fast through installing it on the short side. And then one thing you'll see, one thing I'll add is with this, you're gonna see that each part is not exactly the same. The part that's gonna attach to the lid is gonna have an angled aspect, where the part that's gonna attach to the side panel is gonna be completely flat. So just to be completely detailed, you wanna make sure that the part that is gonna be angled is gonna attach to the lid side. And you'll see that the edge of the lid is gonna have that angle that helps shed water coming off. So make sure that you attach the right part of the hinge to the right part of the panel.